Good evening, everyone. More details tonight are coming out on the Jackson Police Department's investigation of the Irby crash.
Karen Irby pleaded guilty Friday to 2 counts of manslaughter. Prosecutors say they reduced the charges from depraved heart murder after discovering mistakes in the initial investigation. Monica Hernandez is here with details of tonight's top story.
Howard, Karen Irby, the wife of a prominent Jackson businessman, admitted she'd been drinking and speeding the night she crashed into a Chevy pickup on Old Canton Road. Now there are questions about the Jackson police investigation into that deadly crash.
It was probably the most I've ever seen in terms of the number of mistakes.
The Hinds County District Attorney says there were mistakes at every turn of the investigation into the fiery crash that killed 2 people on Old Canton Road last February. Robert Schuler-Smith says Jackson police waited 5 days to reconstruct the accident, and the initial investigator miscalculated Karen Irby's speed, showing it was 114 miles per hour. When prosecutors asked police to take a second look, another investigator found Irby was actually going a minimum of 70 miles per hour. Speed's not the only discrepancy between these 2 reports obtained by WLBT. Now, the first report, taken 5 days after the crash, well, it says the doctors weren't wearing seatbelts when their truck crashed into this brick wall, but the second, more detailed report shows that the truck was too burned to tell. Through these reports, WLBT has confirmed the investigator responsible for the first accident reconstruction is Christopher Barnhart. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he's the same officer who was reassigned to the dog pound, literally animal control, after allegedly making derogatory comments about Michelle Obama while on security detail during her visit to Jackson.
He should have never been called out to conduct that accident reconstruction. Absolutely not.
Prosecutors say Barnhart wasn't in the rotation that night, but was called to the scene even though more experienced investigators were already there.
He's not certified to, he's never qualified as an expert. He's not state certified.
According to prosecutors, Barnhart waited 3 hours to take a blood alcohol test and used an expired tube.
Comes to any investigation, there should be certain procedures, obviously, which for the most part, we've seen them follow. I guess the question is, why wasn't it done in this case?
Now, some of you have questioned Sheriff Malcolm McMillan's involvement in the case. He was Jackson Police Chief at the time, and Karen Irby's husband, Stuart, was one of his biggest campaign contributors. McMillan refused to speak on camera about the case, but told me he didn't get involved to prevent a conflict of interest. Meanwhile, JPD says the initial investigator was qualified to reconstruct accidents, and the Hinds County DA's office says they're considering whether to conduct a grand jury investigation of JPD. Howard.